Tonight at 10, in the last few minutes, President Trump has called on Iran to surrender and urged its people to rise up against the regime.
I'm once again calling on all members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the military and the police to lay down their arms. They're only going to be killed.
Tonight, more US-Israeli strikes light up the sky over Iran's capital, Tehran. We're on the border as Iranians flee.
Everybody, every single person is really getting scared and they want to get out of there.
Iran continues to hit back. In the last hour, these are the skies over the Israeli city of Tel Aviv.
And here in Dubai, throughout the day, more air raid alerts. Locals and hundreds of thousands of Brits told to find urgent shelter.
Stop filming, straight inside! Straight inside!
Running for cover at an RAF base in Cyprus as air raid sirens go off. The Prime Minister says more support is being sent to the Middle East.
We will do everything we can to protect British lives, uphold British values and safeguard the national interest.
In other news, the government is to offer £40,000 to failed asylum seekers if they agree to leave the UK. And Saharan dust is coming our way with the prospect of orange and red sunsets.
On BBC London, schools are told they must provide allergy awareness training to all staff. We visit a school in North London where they're ahead of the game.
Good evening. Donald Trump has called on Iran's leaders to surrender and urged its people to rise up against the regime. Earlier, the president insisted that he must be involved in selecting Iran's next leader. Today, strikes on Iran by Israel and the US intensified, with reports of explosions in the capital, Tehran. We'll hear from Iranians living under attack. Retaliatory strikes have continued to be launched by Iran against many of its neighbours, which have US air bases, including in Saudi Arabia. And Sir Keir Starmer announced the UK was sending 4 additional Typhoon fighter jets to Qatar, saying the conflict could continue for some time. And the first government-chartered flight for Britain stranded in the Middle East is expected to land in the early hours of the morning. Well, these are all the countries in the region now caught up in this conflict on day 6 of the war. First, let's go straight to Washington and to our correspondent Tom Bateman, who's been listening to President Trump. Tom.
Rita, Donald Trump on his feet in the White House in the last few minutes, saying that he believes the American military is ahead of schedule, he says, in its total demolition of the enemy. Now, he set out a list of what he said were the accomplishments so far. He said that in the view of US forces, some 2/3 of Iran's missiles and launchers had now been wiped out by that massive aerial bombardment. He also said that the Iranians had been calling him, he said, but it was too late. He said it was the Americans that were now the ones that wanted to fight more than the Iranians. And he made another call to the entire military structure of the Iranian regime, calling for its surrender.
And I'm once again calling on all members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the military and the police to lay down their arms. They're only going to be killed. And now is the time to stand up for the Iranian people and help take back your country. You're going to have a chance after all these years to take back your country. Accept immunity. We'll give you immunity. And we'll be giving you really the right side of history, because that's what it is. So you'll be perfectly safe with total immunity, or you'll face absolutely guaranteed death. And I don't want to see that.
Now, President Trump reiterated once again that this doesn't appear for him to be about a complete top-to-bottom regime change. He is looking at the idea of decapitation, to do to Iran what he has already done to Venezuela. He also made a threat to Cuba as well, saying that they would be next in the next few weeks, potentially, he mentioned at one point. But that action that he is suggesting that he wants to see in Iran is now very clearly about him being the key person involved in deciding who succeeds the assassination